Alhamdulillah for everything, man.
Where you guys are?
Yeah, we good to go, man. We rolling, alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
So, bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you. We have another great guest with us today. We appreciate, just give big shout out to our young Muslim family traveling with us all the way from VA to Detroit.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't easy. We got some recommendations onto a pizza place to go to, Omar Pizza, down in Detroit.
Oh, that was good.
Some good pizza, alhamdulillah.
Have you had a pizza in Detroit?
I'm working on a piece of Detroit. But I don't know pizza.
He said, I'm bigger than that. I want to own the pizza shop.
I eat pizza every so often. You know?
It was owned by a Muslim brother, and that was actually a place recommended to us by one of our followers. I guess somebody that's part of the younger Muslim community. She told us to stop by. We didn't have any plans, but we were hanging out with another Imam yesterday, and we magically just showed up there. So subhanAllah, the way Allah works, the qadr of Allah, always the timing.
Right.
But people don't know we're out here in Inkster, Michigan, really close to Detroit. So shout out to Detroit. Shout out to any of our listeners from Detroit, D-Town.
Anybody that claims D-Town but isn't from D-Town. You know, there's a lot of people like that.
We take it all. So alhamdulillah. So we are here. We have our brother Pasha today, alhamdulillah. And
Imam Pasha.
Imam Pasha.
Get it right, man. Get it right.
Imam, brother Pasha out here from New York. So he has blessed us and given us the time and the opportunity to connect with us out here in Detroit. He has a very, very, very busy schedule as they put together this blessed conference. This is the 30th annual, correct?
30
years?
I came up with the years, but the convention in terms of our community probably is about that long.
Wow.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, that long, you know.
Yes.
May Allah continue to bless
We just keep working now. I haven't kept up with the time like that.
He said, I just
get to
taking
keep
one day
work,
at a
get the
time.
blessings. Absolutely, alhamdulillah.
But before we go any further and get into it, let's start off right and get the intro rolling.
Let's kick off the show, baby. 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, everybody? This is Jibril
And
Salam,
Muhammad Hassan.
and you were listening to the Young and Muslim Podcast.
Asalaamu Alakum, everybody. That's his signature. He's gonna trademark that. Just by the way, he a businessman like you. So anybody say that?
Sounds interesting.
Anybody say they're gonna have to pay us. But so you want to go ahead and do the honors of
So we have Imam Brother Pasha of the resident Imam at Malcolm Shabazz Masjid in New York, Harlem, correct?
Alhamdulillah.
I need to make my way out there.
Right,
Oh,
we
man.
both do.
So much history. We were actually talking with someone yesterday, and they said that is the third most visited masjid in the world.
It's in the world.
Well, alhamdulillah, that's correct. Yeah, that's the Maz. Well, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. With God's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. I have to start with witnessing to God as one, having no associates or partners, and witnessing to our beloved Prophet Muhammad, the prayers and peace be upon him, Allah's servant and messenger, and a mercy to all of humanity. And I would not have the honor, the privilege to be grateful and thankful to God for the Prophet and the revelation, our Quran, that was given to him, had it not been for the great sacrifice and work of the Honorable Elijah and Clara Muhammad, and God favored them with their son, Imam Wallace D. Muhammad. And may God continue to bless them and elevate them in paradise based upon their good works. Yes, the historical Masjid Malcolm Shabazz is actually the mosque in which Malcolm X developed and built under the leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And Imam W.D. Muhammad, when he inherited the leadership in 1975, after his father's passing, soon thereafter, his relationship with Malcolm, as history knows, they were great friends. And soon afterwards, he named the mosque for the credit of Malcolm's work, Malcolm Shabazz Mosque. Or we know Masjid in the Arabia, Mosque is a French. So it's named after him. And yes, it is visit by people from all over the world to come there, and many of them schools, universities, professors, people from the UN, all come there for many occasions, and we're blessed to be there and be the 7th Imam leading that mosque, and the first to be chosen by the people. History has always been the national leadership would appoint the person, like Malcolm was appointed, Minister Farrakhan was appointed, and a few more before me, Imam Ali Rashid, the great Imam Ali Rashid, may God be pleased with them, was appointed. But Imam Muhammad bringing us closer to the religion of Islam, the religion of peace, as demonstrated in the Holy Quran and demonstrated by the Prophet, told the people at the passing of Imam Ali Rashid that the proper way for a person to become the leader of the mosque is that they be chosen by the people. And I happen to be the one that they chose to take that position, even though I was never in the position of imam or anything of that. I was basically a helper. And as many people familiar, my life work has been in the field of plumbing. So I use that skill and all the related skills that comes with that to help maintain not only that mosque, but mosques and things all over the country. That's part of our association. And I was embarking on a program in Randolph, Virginia, 130-acre land base that we own.
Yeah.
And after Imam Rashid passed, because he was part of us obtaining that, along with several imams, Imam Qadir Hassan, Dr. James Rashid, several of them looking to build a Muslim teachers college.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was about almost 30 years ago now.
You've had access to this land for a long time.
Yes. You know, matter of fact, we walked the land with these great giants, Captain Yusuf Shah, people who know our history and know how great these people were and still are in the spirit of work. And we, after Imam Rashid passed, before he passed, he had said to me, as a builder, developer, that I should go there and help build this property. He passed in 1993.
Wow, so it's been a long time.
Yeah, and I decided, well, I would go down there and do that. But in his passing, the great seniors, the great pioneers of our community, knew by the order of the Imam that you had to choose a leader as Islam would tell you to do. And they had several assistant imams that assisted Imam Ali Rashid. And they were there, and they were going to put themselves forward. And they asked me to stay, but I told them no, I had to go down to Virginia and build this project. And I knew also the love that the people had for me, knowing me all the years as just Brother Pasha, working and serving our seniors, fixing their houses, whatever needed to be done with no charge, that I didn't want to influence that election. I know they would look at me and see who I would choose. So I went down there and stayed out of the way. It didn't do me much good because, you know, God is merciful, you know, and while I was down there, you got those who are not familiar with rural Virginia.
Oh, is this?
Okay, my grandmother used to tell me, she was from Bentonville, South Carolina, and she used to tell me when I was 4 or 5 years old, me and her up 3 o'clock in the morning, because that's what she did, work in the farm area. And she would tell me, says, sometimes down there it'd be so dark you couldn't see your hand in front of your face.
Wow.
You know, I heard her. When I went down to Virginia, down there by myself, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, you know, where I'm used to hearing a whole lot of noise, you know. And down there, all you're hearing is the crickets and whatever animals out there.
And I bet you couldn't sleep either.
Well, no, I was on point. You know, it's amazing what God does. You know, I was working and everything, and they have a lot of hunting dogs down there. Just so happened one of those hunting dogs came up on the property, and me and that old hunting dog stayed together. So he stayed out watching while I was inside sleeping. So I wasn't worried about it. Yeah. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, it was mercy. God said help.
I was about to say
help.
You had a little guardian.
Yeah, but before they got together and chose to elect an imam, about 2 days before they did that, I didn't know because I wasn't there. This is all recorded and gave to me later. I wake up every morning at 3 o'clock. I've been doing that since I was 4 or 5 years old with my grandmother. I can go in the house at 1 o'clock, but 3 o'clock I'm gonna get up. That's just the way it is.
Wow.
And I'm out at 4. That's part of my development and things that I do in terms of my own businesses and construction. I'm on the job, seeing what's going on, make sure materials there, so forth and so on. And when those workers come to do the job, I come back at noon. I know where they did something, they didn't do something. So that's the point of it. How did he know we didn't do anything? I said, because I was here at 4 o'clock. But anyway, just stay with the story.
No, look, this is a life lesson to learn right there. You gotta take that with you.
Yes. So I woke up out of my sleep just crying. You know, now I consider myself being one of the toughest guys on the planet. You know, I'm a self-defense expert and what have you. I ain't supposed to be doing this. But I woke up down in that black, dark place crying. And I said to God, God, please don't do this to me. I didn't know what it was he was going to do, but I knew something was going to happen. Yeah. And I said, God, I started saying things like, I believe, I do right, I help people. I started naming all these things that I do and what have you. And please, God, not me. Don't do this to me. I got to stay here and do this, And then I rested on back down and went back to work. 2 weeks later, speeding it up, Imam Kareem, he was an Arabic instructor who taught English in Saudi Arabia. Okay. And he was part of the team under Imam Ali Rashid. He showed up 2 weeks later, and back in those woods like that, this is 130 acres. But somebody comes in on that front area, you can hear it all the way back where I was working at. Wow. We had 5 buildings down there, and one was an administration building. It was the only place that had a phone. And at that time, if you had a cell phone, it wouldn't work down there. They had no towers.
Especially if you had a Sprint.
Right. So I wasn't, for whatever reason, I wasn't going to go to that main building because I didn't want to take any phone calls. So they sent him down. He came, and he seen me back there working. He joined me and didn't say much. The time of the Maghrib prayer, we got together and we made the Maghrib prayer. And we went on, rested, got up for the morning prayer, Fajr prayer. And we got up and made that prayer after we was finished in prayer, and he had the Quran there, and he said, well, Brother Pasha, the people have chosen you to be the Imam. And I said, no, man, I'm not Imam. I can't do that. I'm not qualified for that, And I argued with him and what have you. But I had already had that experience, that spiritual experience prior before he even got there. Wow. That I knew something was going on.
It was going to be a big change coming.
Yeah, And he listened to me. They sent him, which is the right person. He's very mild-mannered, a man very astute in the Quran, very mild-mannered, And I'm going off. I ain't doing nothing. I ain't going back there. I started saying a few other things, Those particular people back there, I ain't going back, I was using broken English and everything.
So at this point, you decided that you were going to dedicate your time to stay in Randolph and build
that is correct. Project. I was fulfilling my word with Imam Ali Rashid that I would do this. And after all that argument, he listened, but he didn't say much. And then we went on, and Dua prayer came in, the afternoon prayer, and we made that prayer. And he said, well, Brother Pasha, the pioneers, the seniors, they chose you. And that the Quran says that if the people ask you to do something, then you're supposed to do it. Now, he knew my commitment to that spirit. Yep. So I told him, I said, okay, show me where's that at in the Quran? And he pulled out an all Arabic Quran, Arabic Quran. Yep. Now, good and well I couldn't read that.
Yeah.
He pulls it out and he points. He said, right here, Brother Pasha, right here it says, and he says what he said in Arabic. I said, man, I'm born and raised in Brooklyn. You think I'm going for that? I said, I ain't going for that, man. You can give it to me. Where's the Yusuf Ali translation?
Exactly.
But praise be to God. With all my arguments and everything, bottom line, I went back. But it just so happened, the day that they made that decision to ask me to take that position, it was February the 14th, Valentine's Day. That's when they made the election. It was on February the 14th, Valentine's Day. And when I went back, I said, either you love me or you love me not, one or the other. I don't think y'all love me. You think of me? But alhamdulillah, that's been now 93 to now. What many years is that? 26, 27 years. That's and I told them, I said, no, I'm not it, but I will help until we find an imam that can do the job. And it's 27 years ago, but I'm still comfortable in my soul because of a position that I didn't want. Therefore, God favored me to be able to do it without any fear, and steady as she goes, because I tell them, anytime you want to fire me, no problem, no resistance. Yep. So crazy. That's the brief story of my becoming imam.
Your story, mashallah, is very refreshing. We talk to sheikhs, we talk to imams, at least personally. So my family's from Egypt, and when I talk to sheikhs, they kind of make it seem like all they've done their whole life is study, right? Which some people have, and I know that's not me. Yeah. So my parents like, hey, I want you to be a sheikh. I was like, I'm not studying for my whole life because I'm a businessman, I do things. So when you hear an imam's like, hey, I was a plumber. Yeah. Hey, I didn't want to do this. You know what I'm saying? But it came to me. That gives a kind of like a relief for the younger generation. Be like, wow, I can be a basketball player and imam. I can be the best mechanic, can be the best imam. It's like you don't, because it's all encompassing, right? It's what Allah has given us. And one thing that we really harp on is telling your narrative, because if you don't tell what you just told right now, somebody else might tell from the outside that may be different. And the narrative is very important for immigrant Muslims because when they learn about Muslims in America, they think about two people, Elijah and Malcolm.
Yeah.
Two great individuals, but nobody knows about W.D. Muhammad.
Yes.
Right. And I was talking to Jabril about this yesterday. I was like, how? How do they not know about this man that took probably the what is it, like a million people, the most single-handedly
2.5 million people.
2.5 million. That was probably like the big assembly of Muslims in congregation, taking them, into
transitioning all in one shot. Yeah.
Like, how do we not know about this man?
Well, before you answer that, one of the things that I saw in comparison to your story is the story of the prophet. He's a President because when he got the revelation, that was something that he was like, nah, it can't be true. Nah, I'm good.
Not me.
And what you learn is that leaders, great leaders, people who are put in these positions, they don't seek them.
Right.
It's just something that either they were born with or over time they were placed in that position by the people.
Yes.
Right.
Well, the prophet addressed that too, based on the revelation given to him. That the one asking for the task, you never give it to him. Because the one seeking it, don't give it to him. Find the one qualified to do it.
Okay.
And give it to that one.
Do you think that people that are seeking it almost have like an entitlement on their shoulder,
or an agenda?
Well, let's look at the reality of things. We have a great deal of what we refer to as Muslim countries.
Yeah.
And how is that leadership established? It's in reverse of what the prophet said.
It's absolutely
it's hand down from family member to family member.
Because the son cannot be qualified, but it's like, that's
and
my only son.
They pass and that's what they do. So the prophet, prayers and peace be upon him, when he came in, that was part of it. You want to put your best foot forward. And the one seeking it may not be the best foot forward. And God, throughout scriptures, throughout history, if you look at the prophets, none of them seek the position.
Yeah.
Moses knocked off a cat. Put it that way. You understand?
That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, make it plain.
Literally, he knocked him off that.
Knocked the cat off, man. And the struggle of all of them, they didn't seek the position. You know what I mean? As the prophet, the prayers of people, he just had what we call that deen of fitra, that original nature. We call this in the Quran and the prophets, but that original human nature of concern. So his human concern connected to his original nature that God created, obedience, and the environment he was in, and the things that were going on based on his life, the early loss of father, the early loss of mother, and etc. And then being taken out into the environment of nature, I would say, the farms, the camels, things like that. They're being raised there with sheep and what have you. Kept his human disposition intact.
It kept him close to the creation.
That's correct.
And
when he moved into the city of
Mm-hmm.
Mecca and seen all these things, he had that great concern of how can I help
for humanity, just
because
for people.
This way they're not gonna be successful like this, and that's why he wound up going to Jamaat al-Nur, or the mountain of the light, the cave, seeking solitude to figure out how best I can do this. Because remember, his people, all of them knew him to be the most truthful and trustworthy person in Mecca.
Al-Amin.
Yeah. He was both that. Sadiq, his name, he was both. And Al-Amin, he was both of them. So he had that long history for 40 years, way before he was Almighty God.
Yeah, outstanding character.
Right, and God's revealed in the thing, we have observed you for a lifetime upon a model of human excellence. And God chose him. So I'm saying these positions are not positions that are hand-me-down through family ties.
Yeah.
They are, for Al-Islam proper, they should be addressed by the need of the community and looking within that community for the best person qualified for the job, whether it is male or female in terms of education, the things we need to do. Because look at his wife, Aisha, radiallahu anha, look at her in terms of after his passing, all of the sheikhs, scholars, and etc. had to go to her.
She was
to verify, Is this what the prophet said? Is this the spirit he presented in it, etc.? That's missed. And even we go back to our father Ibrahim, the leader of the Abrahamic faith, Judaism, Christianity, Al-Islam. We find in his life, his wife, Hagar, and of African descent, and the mother of Ishmael, alayhi salam, another prophet, and her struggle that we don't recognize it, and the Hajj factor, that part of following Abraham, you also must follow Hagar.
Look at that.
You must run between Safa and Marwa, back and forth, meeting the challenge, meeting the struggle to find nourishment for her baby, which is now Zamzam, the water that they still can't figure out where it's coming from. Praise be to God. So, we got a great history of peace in Al-Islam that most folks like not knowing about Imam W. Muhammad because of his peaceful pursuit of one bringing to the oppressed first, which was the African descendants enslaved in our country, America, and that heritage that he came from, as you said, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm and many great leaders with them and before them, that he quietly came in, but we were told he was coming. But he quietly came in, and he was a student of the Quran, and therefore a student of Muhammad, the Prophet, the prayers and peace be upon him. And he was just a humble, genuine man that if he wanted to be known, and many of them wanted him to, but they wanted to take him away from his mission, and Imam Muhammad was not going to allow that to happen.
Man, that's so beautiful, especially because hearing that women have always been on the forefront of Islam.
Absolutely.
But now, especially the Muslim majority countries have put women on a backseat.
Yes, that's why they catch the hell they catching.
Yeah.
I mean, you catching the hell you catching when you imagine this now. As in history, we know the history that there was a time, and how somebody can come to this conclusion logically makes no sense. There was a time that they would be sad if they had a girl baby.
I remember
they would bury them alive.
Right. Now, can you imagine that? Now, if you keep burying a female alive, sooner or later you just buried yourself, because without the female that God made,
there's no community life.
There's none.
There's no community life.
There's none. You have nothing.
You have nothing.
So God has made the value. God has made the woman the most valuable as it is.
God declared, not man.
Absolutely. And that's why even in dealing with the prophet Isa, even Maryam, or Jesus the Christ, son of Mary, the importance of Mary in that picture, that Jesus Christ, as seen in our Holy Scriptures and presented to us by Prophet Muhammad, the prayers and peace be upon him, he is seen as the pure word and spirit of Almighty God. But he could not come had it not been for Mother Mary. It was not for a virtuous community. And as I'm getting this from Imam W. Muhammad, not to see her as just an individual woman, but a community that was virtuous in belief in God and an authority bigger than himself, and would not violate that, then the spirit and the word could enter. So this is the mercy of God, and we're living a great time right now to be able to articulate, see these things, have the advantage of it in this unique place. The United States of America, where everybody's trying to get to.
And what's interesting about that is that if you look at most developing nations, the nations that develop the quickest and they thrive the most, their women are the most educated and have the most freedoms. They have the freedom of enterprise because the woman, one, there's more of them in the world than us. Absolutely. But then two, what they bring in terms of their natural intuition, what they bring that God created them with, every society needs that. And when you garnish that, and when you put it behind a wall, you don't give them that freedom to grow. Because
men can't do it.
There's certain things we just can't do.
The design, our design is such that the dependency on each other. Marriage as being in the forefront of Al-Islam and in other traditions too, in terms of the need that God has made the balance between us. As men, our task is more outward, to go out and bring back what mother has said she's needed. And we go out and take the risks, we go out and do what we need to do, and we bring it back. And mothers, some of the greatest communities you will have on earth now is when we respect the design that God has made for us. And the woman is really the maintainer of a community. She's there to make sure your school systems are working. She's there to make sure the businesses that you done brought back to. She's there to make sure those things within the security and safety of that environment. And then she's able to transfer that son or daughter over to you when time says to do so. Yes. She has prepared them. She is the first instructor. God has made her that. We didn't do that. We have nothing to do with that.
And that's religion.
Because all of us, male or female, we came from a mother. And the sacred regard for mother is beyond none. And God has given her that. And it's sometimes it hurts you today in this so-called modern society when the women are being told to look for something else and say, "Did you know the greatest thing is that the creator of everything in the universe, in the sea, you can imagine anything you're going to use that the creator has made it to yield its uses to you?" And the woman's position is the highest position throughout the Quran. And reading the Arabiya, the original language of the Quran, which is different from Arabic. The Arabiya of the Quran, when you refer to Allah, and in English, the Creator or the God, it's always an effeminate pronunciation. You know, the grammar of Arabiya is going to be feminine, the te is going to be there because God is merciful, most gracious. And isn't that what mother is?
Yes.
Mother accepts and tolerates things from you that daddy ain't gonna accept. All right, that's the way it is. And sometimes mother got to tell daddy hold up, and daddy gonna listen to her. You know,
no question.
Yeah, because daddy know he gonna have to sit at that table and he wants that good meal. And if you don't listen to her, the meal won't be there tonight.
Nothing will be.
Praise be to God.
Exactly.
You know? So this is a beautiful that when you understand our religion of Islam, then and understand the Quran and the way the Prophet brought it. And I know this only because of the great work of Imam W.D. Muhammad, the man that's not known so much, is because you engage life in its fullest. And today we're in society where people are not even really living; they're just existing. And they're being shifted, and they're not even having the uses of a basic tool that God has given the human being, and that's your five senses.
No, I mean, because everything that you mentioned right now is from the religion. This is God's words, right? But when I think what happened to the transition of putting women in the back burner was all cultural, right? So just going back to W.D. Muhammad, so he knew what the culture was, but the work that his father did was very important. Elijah Muhammad, he never said he said, my job is to put African Americans in a decent dress.
Clean you up.
That's my job. But people don't understand that. People, oh no, that's his job was to clean them up, so his son can take those people that were already clean and focused on the mission. So when Elijah Muhammad was going through his journey, was he worried about like the culture? Was he worried about, because right now I see imams and sheikhs, they're trying to live life like this and not even look like all the culture that's going on, because they don't want to. I don't know if they don't want to face reality or if they're scared. But like you said about the Prophet, he was in tune with everything. Right? That's what looked like Elijah Muhammad did. How did he do that?
Well, praise be to God. While he was not a prophet, as we all know, as God chooses prophets, but he did prophesy, and he did have a message. And the message was for us in the dilemma that we were in as a people. Remember, the matter of fact that the date has just come past where we had 400 years of enslavement in our country, America. Up to yesterday or the day before. It still goes on in many subtle ways because of the more uses of technology and everything else. So the Imam Elijah Muhammad, yes, he says, I'm preparing you. I'm going to clean you up for the one who's going to come after me. He will give you the religion. But right now, I'm getting you prepared. As it is, a mother does, preparing her children to be able to meet the challenge. So I can transfer you over to your father, and he can show you how to merge your way through the outer world. But I'm the one that must prepare you. He can't prepare you for that. You must be nurtured by me. And like I said, is the beauty of the picture of the birth of a child. And the child is being born, male or female, and while the child is being born, we know the beauty of this birth and what have you through technology that God has blessed mankind to see now, to see more of it, the rope and the connections and etc. And even in that picture, we know Scripture says, the Scriptures of old and the Quran, it says, and hold on to the rope of God. Now you can see the rope right in the womb between the mother and the child. That is the rope of God. Hold on to it. But when you come out the womb, you have now changed the circumstance. All right? The mother was feeding you. You were nurtured by everything. You had to worry about nothing. That's why in that cramped up space that we see, that Almighty God, when you come out, you can't even imagine it. You would never gonna know what that pain would have been if somebody tried to tie you up in that knot right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? They try to just bend your elbow, you gonna holler, okay? So that beautiful picture of that creation that God has allowed us to see now. Now the rope is cut, but where is the baby immediately put at? The baby is immediately, they say, brought up to the mother's chest.
Heart.
But it's the heart. Because now God says, and know the heart of the matter. You know, and every baby knows his mother's heart. You know, and you can't put it on no other heart. Can't hand that baby somewhere else. Yeah. There's going to be a disturbance. All right? And it's not even necessary to spank the baby on the butt. That's some cultural thing. If you just clean that baby up, he or she opens his eyes, they are looking for mother. Yeah. They know that in their instinctual nature, that they have transferred into something different and that they need the protection. And that's with the human being. Because similar to the animal kingdom, but the animal kingdom come out and they stand up on their feet right away.
Right away, yeah.
Exactly.
Right away. But the human being, as God's special creation, needs that long-term nurturing because you and I will have the authority to change the animal kingdom and everything else.
We have the intellect. God blesses with intellect.
He gave it to us. Most of us don't use it, but we got it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, in terms of that, if we was using it, we wouldn't have heard the horrible things that happen today and previously about folks in totally outside of their mind and of influences that would make them go and just shoot people randomly and what have you. A terrible circumstance.
What's interesting to go off the back of the question Muhammad asked is when you look at the way that our people have transcended, right? Going from Elijah Muhammad to Wardi Muhammad to where we are now. It's a process, right? Clean them up, give them the religion, but the goal after that wasn't just to have them be these religious people that could just recite Quran, but to be able to go in society, to buy establishments, to create community life,
absolutely,
and to have an awareness, right? Because religion, the way I was taught, the way my father taught me, coming from the Association of W.D. Muhammad, is that it's always ingrained in us, just as you said it, right? We're born with these.
Absolutely.
I always believe that the Quran is already on our hearts, and as time goes on, our intellect reveals it.
Yes.
You know, we come back to our human nature, and so how has that transition been to go from getting cleaned up to now learn the religion, right? Where are we at now? Where's the state that we are now? Because now it seems as though we're beyond the leadership of one person. Is now upon us to become a community and to advance as one nation.
Yes. Well, alhamdulillah, praise be to God. That's always been the mission. It's right there in the Quran that Almighty God, revealing to the prophet, said, you will not be able to fully live what is in this book unless you establish community life. So from day one, as we know, the most excellent model, what the prophet did after being oppressed for a number of years in his own country, Mecca at the time, and was embraced by the believers of Medina, was then, and it came on after his ascension, that he was sent back down to now establish the community life. And the ascension has so much great value in terms of just generally understanding the many prophets that he led in prayer. And it's saying those many prophets that he was able to have conversations with. You hear about the conversation that he had with Musa and Moses in reference to how many prayers and etc. But what that was saying to us, the different prophets who came before him addressing the issues and now giving him the advice, because now he's going to seal it. He's going to carry it all out. And you cannot have full life unless you establish it in community. So the motivation has always been to have community life, but community life under God, in obedience to God. And we have to understand religion is misinterpreted. as a meaning. But for Islam, religion really means you pay your debt. A way to pay the debt that we certainly owe to the one who has created us and who has provided everything for us. All of this technology, everything we're using now, and etc., we took it from Almighty God's material. All right? And he blessed us with his will, freedom to choose and make decisions. But he also told us the best decisions, or like the picture we hear in a kind of theatrical picture that's brought to us in the Quran, where in the heavens, and you have the angels, and you have the jinns, and so forth and so on, and here's man being introduced, that God said, I'm going to begin this new creation, and we hear the friction that goes on and what have you. But in that context, God says to them, okay, let me show you a little example, because there was the jinn who was leading the angels in this theatrical picture that we get out of the Quran. But he didn't know it was a jinn. Jinn is similar to the human creation. They have a will, okay? And if you're an angel, you don't have a will. You follow the dictates of what God gives you. You strictly that.
Perfect.
So the angel, when God introduced that he was going to, in this theatrical picture, and I only know this because of Imam W. Muhammad, they had explained it in words, that that picture, when God said, I'm going to make this new creation, all right? And the jinn right away spoke up, whoa, I'm made of fire, and you're going to make something made out of stinky mud and tell me I need to submit to it? At that point, you would think the jinn would have said, wait a minute, I ain't supposed to talk like this.
Exactly.
I'm an angel. But we'll leave that part of the picture alone right now, right? So then Almighty God says to them, he says, well, if you know so much, then tell me the names of things.
Exactly. Yep.
And the angel said, we know not but what
you told
know.
us.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, in that theatrical picture, you don't hear nothing from the jinn. You never hear anything about the jinn says, but yeah, something, nothing. He's silent. And then God says, this man, I'm just beginning the creation. And in this state, Adam, we refer to him. Tell them their names. But tell them the name of things. And Adam told them the names of things. And then God says, okay, all of you get down from here. Now, man in his beginning, Adam, the angels and such, they didn't do anything. It was a jinn who started this. But God said, Qubab, it means fist, 5. All of you get down from here to the earth for a time appointed. And for a time, you will be there. So here again, the strategy in terms of we in a group doing something, and we all know where we got to go, and one cat start to mess up, we all pay the consequences.
Yeah.
All right? And so
I pay the consequence all the time.
So now we all down because of him. We really should have put something across his neck, but that's another story. That's not in the Quran, the theory. That's me talking. Okay,
that's a little bit of the Brooklyn.
Yeah. Set this cat up, man. But anyway, so we turn around and what have you. It's just making me aware that the gentleman running for the office of mayor in the city of Inkster is present and what have you. So if you were to let him talk a little bit inside there, and the where the people are and eat and everything, and I'm sure you'll be able to handle a little something till I get there. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Praise be to God. So in this picture, we all told to get down. And God said, not up here. Up here you can't have this kind of environment. But God also says, and Satan, Iblis at the time, that wicked mind, it doesn't have a flesh. Don't look for a white man or a black man or a red man or brown man, what have you. It's an influence, all right, that believe itself really be doing God's work. So he made a statement, my Lord. This is Iblis talking, my Lord, because he realized what's happened to him. He said, my Lord. He still realizes there's the Lord.
He knows. He knows he's the creation.
He said, my Lord, could you give me respite? Because I still think that I can show you that what you're about ready to create won't be worthy of what you're giving them. And if you give me respite, I'm going to come from their right, their left. I'm going to come from every angle of them to prove they want. And then Almighty God in this theatrical picture says, well, the only ones you're going to get are the ones that want what you put in front of them, the allurements, and so forth and so on. And then God said, but let me also remind you, you plan and I plan. And I'm the best of planners. Now, you think that would have been enough for this theatrical picture and this rebellious entity that would have fell down and sat there and begged for mercy and shut up. You know, instead, it was put down. But all is God's plan. And God is never absent. God is always present. Nothing we can do out of his sight. But he has also warned us that in my creation, there is the reward, but there's also the reward of punishment. It's a reward, because when you use the creation in the incorrect way, ain't it a mercy that it punishes you so you stop using it that way? We need people to wake up that today who are dealing with drugs and all these things here. It's punishing you.
Well, do you think, because we hear it now, especially, I mean, the people that are hanging around and the community, the youth, they're like, oh, man, like every time they mess up, they blame the devil, right? They blame that. Do you think
they blaming the right person, just the ones inside of them?
Okay.
You know, I mean, that's this is how this works. Okay. You know, the decision is yours.
Are they giving too much emphasis for that, or is that
absolutely they need to take the responsibility to recognize that you have to carry the weight of your decision. You got decision making ability. Like I said, it's like the five senses. God gave it to us as those senses to go ahead of you, to go out ahead of you, and bring you back the information. The five senses don't make the decision. It brings information back to you, and you make the decision. So therefore, you go out and you see it. You hear it. You smell it. You taste it. You feel it. I think that's all of them. You touch it. All right? And each one of those senses does its job. I hate to use this, but it was really good. People would know it. It's like the hunting dog. And the man sends the dog out, and the dog comes back and brings the information whatever he's hunting for, where it's at. The dog don't make the decision. You make the decision. But those instruments are there to be used. And most of us don't use our five senses. You should not make a decision without accepting what your senses are telling you. If you don't make the decision and say smell bad before smelling it. When you smell it, oh man, you make a decision. I don't eat that. So again, these beautiful things of simplicity. God didn't have to make nothing complicated because God needs nothing from us. And the religion in Islam and the religions before. But Islam is a culmination of all the revelation and all the prophets that came before, a culmination of correcting the books before and bringing where God wants to give us his final mercy. And so, I mean, this is the beauty of life. When you understand this, it's comfortable. Like I said, they call me the Imam. Okay, cool. I do the job. I'm good to go. You know what I'm saying? But if you approach me the wrong way, there's a whole nother person show up. I mean, that's the way that goes. You know what I mean? I am born and raised in Brooklyn, New York.
but I also think
I'm homeboy from the neighborhood too, and I'm just a plumber trying to make a living. That's all.
Simple. You said something earlier that was very important because I hope
I said a lot of things very important. Yeah, what you talking about?
It's very recent, right now.
But go ahead.
Growing into a Muslim family, you automatically accept the religion because your parents are Muslim, right? And they just don't really ask about it, right? And then I remember when I was younger, there was one point where I was like, why am I Muslim?
There you go.
This is my dad, like, why? You know what I'm saying? I just thought about it. I'm like, is Christianity better? So I just went out there, started searching, then looking into all the information and brought me back to Islam again. Alhamdulillah. But I had to find that for myself. And even when I'm talking to my, I'm telling my uncle, someone's like, hey, you know what? I opened up the Bible. It's very simple to the Quran. Like, why would you do that? Like, why would you open up the Bible? Everything is here. But I'm like, you're supposed to understand all of God's words. No. Don't even do that.
That's simple. When we're told in the Quran that you must respect all of the prophets of God and the books that came before. It's in the Quran. It tells you that.
Plain simple.
So that means whoever believes that he is reading the Quran and a scholar of it has missed something. Plus the Shahada or Shahadatain proper. The declaration of faith that we make. Now, my children were raised in the Islamic environment, in our homes and etc. But it was when they were old enough, past the puberty and etc., that they had to make the choice from their experiences to say, I too want to accept this religion. Now, as long as you're in my household, as we live in, then you're under that, you're getting the benefit of the disciplines, the beauty and everything else of it, and what have you, and the love for your mother and the love for your father, and et cetera, et cetera. And then you, as you grow and learn more, you can identify why they behave the way they are. It's because of this Islam that they kept bringing me to when I was little, and so forth and so on. Even my oldest daughter today, she reflect on hearing me present the Jumu'ah and different things. She says, I remember you bringing us to the Imam, and when we used to all my children, why he bring us to hear this man? You know, they ain't listening like that. You know what I mean? You gotta sit here all day long, all night long. You know, that's children, right? Well, I'm tired. I don't go here. We got a game we can play or something. You know, but now, seeing that great value in it and can see what it is, because now they can study for themselves and see the value too of the respect that the father gets, the respect that the mother gets.
Exactly.
And so, wait a minute, they respect mother and father, and you could say, my name is Salam, and what have you, and such and such. They say, okay, yeah. Said, but my father's Ali. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. All right, whole another thing turned down there. He looked at me sideways and said that, and I was like, all right. So we have to choose. Islam is not forced on anyone.
Not at all.
You cannot. There's no. You have to choose it on your own, but you choose it not emotionally.
Ooh.
You have to choose it
thinking. Factually. You have to choose it because you invite the children that was younger, and others say, oh, try fasting during Ramadan. You know, making the 5 prayers, so forth and so on. And we're in a very hostile environment in America that's very difficult. This ain't what we call a Muslim country, where things will shut down for Jumu'ah, things will shut down for Ramadan, you reverse the time and such and what have you. Unfortunately, the results is more about ritual than understanding the substance of what this means.
And so I love the question you asked, because I took my Shahada. I've been raised Muslim, you know my parents. And
I remember you was a little troublemaker about that high, but go ahead, you can talk about it.
Now I'm a troublemaker this high.
Still is.
So what was interesting was, you know, we've known each other for almost a decade now. And, you know, we got into things in college, we've had different experiences, but all those experiences were vital for me to learn, because it led me to a position where I was able to use my rational thinking. I took my time and said, you know what, this is what I want to do. Even though up until this point, I've never disputed it. Obviously, you know, you're supposed to question, you want to ask those questions. But up until that point, I was like, I'm Muslim. I know I'm Muslim, but why? You know, you have to ask that question, why? And a lot of times us as Muslims, we neglect asking that question in many instances. But for this instance, I was like, you know what, this is right for me to take Shahada. And as soon as I took it in my community. All the brothers were like, why you take your Shahada? You're born Muslim. I was like, yes, but I'm declaring it for myself that I'm Muslim in front of all of you, because even though I come in here giving khutbahs, so on and so forth, I'm putting it on myself that this is my time to give myself my start.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yes, it's the declaration is tied into also the marriage. Where
you mean like a
the declaration that you're declaring something, and you're declaring it before God and witnesses. All right.
Wow.
So the Shahada, we're just the witnesses.
Yes.
You standing up and you're saying, La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. I witness that there is nothing to be worshipped except for God and God alone. And I witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his prophet and his messenger. Period. And we're just there to witness that you said that. Now, if you walk out that door and start behaving some other kind of way, we have something to
hold you to, more obligation.
Right? And so it is even with marriage.
Same thing.
Marriage before God is when two people decide they want to take care of each other.
Yep.
And when they decide they want to take care of each other, and they consummate that in the heavens, that's when it's registered at marriage. All those other cultural things that may come afterwards, you're going to the mosque or to the imam and so on. All that is an announcement to the men that she is spoken for.
I can do that myself. Hey.
Y'all
see this? No.
That's exactly what it does. This is mine. Right? So those kind of things, we need to be clear on it, because we're following other culture things, and we put more into that than we should. Because once you decide that you're going to take care of each other, you love each other, you're going to be responsible for each other, and you consummate that, you enter each other, that is the ring being placed.
So everything
and
else
then the outward piece of dowry and etc. That which in the case of the provider, the male, he produces a dowry that she will accept, that in an emergency or something happening to him, that she has a way to maintain the life of her and the children, and will not have to be forced immediately to seek another husband. She can spend her time she needs to.
Or go back home to father, you know what I mean? Ask for more.
No, you come back home to me. Don't forget that, man. That's out.
And once you leave.
Well, that's one thing I learned from my mother. I mean, God be pleased with her. And most mothers, that once you leave out of that house, and then you can pay it, that they want to see you,
Yeah.
And you come back with the children, you all stay a few days.
Yep.
But after that, you stay too long, you start washing clothes or something up in there, forget about it. My mama said, what's going on, boy? Right. You know what I mean? Where's your response? You better go get 2 jobs, something.
Yeah.
You out of here. You know what I mean? I like to be able to y'all come visit, but not come back here. No. That's the mercy of God. But that's the balance of religion, and not allow it to be hijacked.
Yes.
By ignorance, hijacked by extremism, But the religion of Islam is the religion, as is presented by the Prophet. It is a religion that respects common sense and the use of it.
You've been talking about that, and that's something his dad always taught. He's like, look, it's just common sense. Just think about it.
You evaluate it and what have you. You look at it. I said the senses give you back messages. It looks okay. It sounds okay. It feels okay for my soul. All right. It smells okay. It tastes okay. All right.
One of the senses in, I don't know if maybe this is culturally here in America, but you definitely know this. I know this is, you have to listen to your instincts, listen to your gut, and that gut instinct is your intuition. And we always say a woman's intuition. And as of recently, a woman was saying, men don't trust their intuition, but that's someone phrased it is almost like God speaking to you through your senses and through your intellect, all of it coming together and saying.
Well, the intuitive sense, what they refer to as a sixth sense, is something only God can give you. That's the intuitive sense. The 5 senses, it's in your creation and what's name, but the intuitive sense is your toil and struggle, your study, to understand the words of God and what the destiny is for your life. And then pursuing that. And that builds upon your faith. And in Islam, God says to us in his clear plan, as I said earlier, God said, you plan, I plan, I'm the best of planners. So what is God saying to us? That whatever you think you planning is in my plan. You can't use anything outside my plan. And I've told you the cautions in planning, which ones will benefit, which ones will harm. So the intuitive sense comes in bil ghaib, meaning I'm not sure. And I experienced this where we sitting now and everything else. I'm not sure. My soul has been touched by something, and the spirit touched something. And I experienced this before, that God is taking me somewhere. I'm not comfortable with it, but I know God is telling me to do it. I don't know. I don't have all the instruments to do this. I'm a human being. I'm saying all these things. I don't have the instruments. I don't have the way to buy this. I don't have the way to secure this. And I know we need these 20 things, and these 20 things ain't here, But faith, because the overriding principle is that you recognize the influence of God directing you to it. Bil ghaib. So in the Quran, that plan that God puts forth says, how do you come back into the paradise? He says, enter ye, my devotees. Enter ye, my workers. Devotees is saying, enter. The way we hear it is faith. And you hear the statement, faith without works is for naught. So it takes those two things to return you back to that heaven that we started out with, that you were kicked out of because of Iblis's arrogance and etc. You want to come back in. The only people that are allowed in the paradise is those who have faith and those who work, even though they're not clear. And our father Ibrahim alayhi salam, is a big picture of a man of faith. All right, he had the rational mind like Iblis, and he rationalized things, and he came to conclusion by reason and etc. And then he kept looking because he was searching for God in the environment as a young man that he was growing up in, of paganism and idol worships and etc. His father, and he was rebelling against that. And you know the story about all those idols in the setup, and they were worshiping them. And he was a young man. I think he might have been the age of less than 20, they say at the time. And he went in and broke all the gods up.
Like 15, 16?
Yeah, he broke them up and just left the big one. Yeah. And when they came back to say, who broke up all our gods? And what have you. And somebody said, where that young man at? Yeah. That was talking about him like this. Yeah. And they brought our prophet Abraham alayhi salam in, and they said, did you do this? And he simply said, based on logic and common sense, he says, why don't you ask the big one?
Why you ask the big guy?
And that shocked him.
Like, and they said, he can't talk.
There you go. Right. They said, he can't talk. He said, duh.
You're welcome.
What else I got to tell you? You know what I mean? But that is sad by them. They try to burn him. Yeah. And that's an epitome of the society in terms of where we're at. But the idea of faith and works, that's what God says going to get you to the So endeavoring on this big project here. In Inkster, Michigan, this great village, this great city, and etc. And the way we came here, the whole spiritual journey. Malcolm was here. One of the buildings we bought on Michigan Avenue, Malcolm had an office in it when he came out of prison.
Wow.
His brother lived here. None of this that I know. I know it's from Michigan, but it had nothing to do with Inkster, Michigan. And the name Inkster itself, all these are spiritual journeys. When they said Inkster, which I had never heard of, for years we came to Cobo Hall with our conventions, our CPC meetings following Imam W.D. Muhammad.
Cobo Hall is what?
Downtown Cobo Hall, where Joe Lewis's arena and what have you was at. Okay. That's where all our meetings used to take place when we came to Detroit.
Because I know back, when I was younger, we used to always go to Chicago.
Yeah, well, Chicago, but then the Imam came in and he had a lot. We had a better situation here in Detroit, and he's also coming back to where he was born at, and also understanding that he was trying to show us, do not forget this history. We cannot abandon where it all started from. And that's why we're here now, because he made that as his last address in 2008 before he passed.
Yeah, and that's why you guys are taking the onus to build up community.
That is correct. That is correct. Right. They're on that leadership there, and why we have this convention today here in Detroit, because he said, stay here. He said, but if you leave Cobo Hall's been treating us well. But if you have to leave Cobo Hall, make sure you find something that is dignified for the life that we have led and continue to lead and what have you. Yes. So we wind up many choices, many things, but the Spirit led us here. And like when I cried like a baby, rejecting before they even voted, that I knew something major was going to happen in my life, the same similar spirit, and Imam Fadri Ansari was with me from Buffalo, New York, when we came to this door after visiting many other places. I was already rejecting it before I even got here in the car. So let's turn around, tell the guys too far out, let's go. Because I was not familiar with Detroit. Yep. The only thing I knew about Detroit, flying to that airport, rent a car from Hertz, get on 94, go to 10, Cobo Hall, meetings over with 10, 94, back on the plane. Airport, the car back in the Hertz.
That in Motown.
I didn't know anything about I ain't going to admit to nothing else. I come in here, the message, get back to work. You know what I mean? I got a job to do, with the message that's given, go back to work. You know? So I'm saying the spiritual thing that led us here in terms of that sensitivity of giving over and knowing that, man, all these things happen. Like I said, then we looked at the town. It's Inkster. And Muhammad the prophet, the prayers and peace be upon him, what did he say? In order to deter his folks from willing to give their life for the faith, which is necessary, yes. So he said to them to not keep that spirit in them. He said to them, the ink of the scholar is more precious than the blood of the martyr. Yep. And we're in Inkster. Wow. That is the ink stirred up. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
I mean, when I realized, man, this is the ink stirred up. Knowledge. And where we at? We in a 280,000 square foot school.
25 acres, huh?
All right. Yeah, about 25 acres with 80 classrooms, 1,000-seat auditorium, Olympic-sized swimming pool, full gym, football field, baseball field, tennis courts, laboratories, so forth and so on. A place where you all gonna help me do something that when I'm gone, you all can make sure this is the most excellent universe that ever came up on the planet Earth based on the life work that is culminated. And that man you start out with said nobody knows. The best way to know him is to know Muhammad the Prophet.
It's like you say,
know Muhammad the Prophet, know his father.
Yeah.
And know all those great men in history, Frederick Douglass and etc. All the inventors, all of them that you will find in, I'll think, a newspaper, all of them, that their work was summed up for the freedom, true freedom of the African American community, enslaved for 400 years in this country, but embraced this country regardless of that God has favored us. As the prophet said, and our example ties back into Master Bilal, the first muezzin, the first caller to prayer of the people, the treasurer for the prophet, the secretary for the prophet, an Ethiopian former enslaved. His history is out, but the prophet said of him, you will hear the footsteps. I have heard the footsteps, the prophet speaking, I have heard the footsteps of Bilal ahead of me. Now we know Bilal ain't head of the prophet, so where's that at? And then he said in the last farewell address, addressing all the issues, including racism among the people, that you take it out from here what I'm giving you, because it's going to be heard more. Understand, you with me from the beginning. All the companions, Abu Bakr Siddiq, Ali, but there are those who are going to hear what I'm saying far from here, who's going to know it better than you know who's right here with me.
Wow.
The first man to put his feet on top of the Kaaba, a black man.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
You know, but this is because of his bilgaiv, his faith, based on hearing his enslaver, his master. He didn't walk up to the prophet and shake his hand, I'm Bilal. He heard his enslaver and his slaver's friends complaining about the prophet, talking about there ain't but one God, addressing all the idols that they were making money off of. And he heard them talking about it. And they said, what does it mean? He's saying that there's number one God and that you should only be an abd to Allah. You should only be a servant to God. And Bilal was a slave servant to the master. And Bilal heard that standing there with his head down. And his whole soul changed. From that, not from the prophet, not from the companions. He heard the enemy of the prophets saying this was what this man was standing upon, and we got to fight against that because that's going to hurt our economic picture. But that slave Bilal heard that, and from that point on, he was a free man. He could no longer be a slave. So when they addressed him in the West, he said, no, I'm Abdullah. I'm only a servant of God. I can't be your servant no more. And they tortured him.
Yep.
It's a picture of 400 years of what happened to us.
Wow.
They tortured him.
Wow.
They tortured him so much. The history shows us they tortured him so much. Took him out to the hot desert.
Had a big boulder on his back.
Put a big boulder and rock on top of him, and just kept asking him, will you deny the one God? And in that hot blazing sun with the heat and everything else, the torture, where he couldn't speak no more, what do we do in prayer?
One.
That's what Bilal did.
Had his finger out.
Ahad. Ahad. One God. And that's who we are in America, and that's who our brothers and sisters all over this earth who claim this religion, Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, all the so-called Muslim countries. If you want relief, don't do what you did when Bilal was there. He's here now.
Yeah.
And he knows America.
Yep.
And America knows him.
Wow.
And you're making big errors. And you coming here because of his suffering. But you're ignoring him.
Yep.
And you bringing that same cultural dynamics with you. Not religion. Not the deen or fitr. Not to pay the debt. You're bringing all that with you. And you're ignoring Imam W.D. Muhammad. You're ignoring what he did. But because of his work and his father and though before, you're able to come into the country. Yep. Now you're getting yourself in trouble. Yep. Yeah. Because you do not know how to speak the language.
You know,
that this man has.
Imam Muhammad Siddiq, may Allah be pleased with him. He recently passed not too long ago. He said something. We had the first annual youth summit down in Norfolk, Virginia, and he said something that I'll never forget. He said, "You have to know my day before I can know your day."
Right.
Talking about the youth.
Talking about the youth.
Yeah.
But I think that goes perfectly what you're saying. When people come here, they have to understand the history. They have to understand the people. They have to understand the struggle before they can come here and say, what you're doing, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. No, you can't do that.
No, that's absolutely right. And the same thing here. You know, I've traveled all over, by the grace of God with the Imam and outside of Setup. I lived in Senegal for a while and a few other things. And they know who I am. The sheikhs know who I am because they're all in New York and everything. They come to them all the time. But I don't go there till I'm leading no prayer. Because there's another dynamics that's there that I may read from the Quran, but will my message be clear? And that's what the Prophet was told to do. Whatever your only strength, you can't make them do anything. That's not in your power. It's in mine. But you are charged with deliver the message and make it clear. So if I want to deliver the message, I can't go to Indonesia and go give a khutbah. I don't have the right language to know how to communicate the message. Because there's a cultural dynamics, there's all kinds of things going on. Exactly. So why would you disrespect? And the Prophet said also, the prayers and peace be upon him, that if you go to a country and you find the mosque there, get behind them.
Yep, fall in line, yes.
Get behind them. Mm-hmm. So we having a lot of trouble in the country now is because that's not respected.
Oh,
yeah. Wow.
You don't know America like I know her.
Yeah.
I don't know Indonesia like you know India. I don't know Saudi Arabia like you know. I don't know Malaysia and Egypt and so on like you know it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I know America.
You know, and that's funny because the roles are reversed. That's how it is for the youth. Mm-hmm. People try to talk to the youth, but they don't understand the youth. So like we said earlier about our Prophet, peace and praise be upon him, basically passing that torch to Bilal so you can spread the message, right? So now that's where we're at kind of with the youth. We have people trying to talk to the youth that don't understand them at all. Don't understand American culture. Don't understand how it works. And the young, we know how it works. We came here when we were 2 years old. We know everything. So like, you don't get it. So now with this beautiful facility that we're in, 25 acres, I was in tears when I saw it. I was like, wow, you guys didn't just go and just build another masjid. You know what I mean? You didn't build 3 masjids. You didn't do that because you knew that we have to find something that's going to outlive us and prepare our youth.
Well, the Prophet said it. He said number one priority is education.
Yeah.
That's the first thing he did.
Yes.
Education. Not just any education. Not just the general stuff you may get in college or in public school or high school. You need a God-centered education.
Okay.
You need something that respects Almighty God. If you're not going to respect the one that is providing everything for you, then how are you going to advance? You may look like you're moving somewhere, but in reality, you be standing still.
Or you're moving in circles.
Or you'll be under the influence of Satan, Shaitan, that mind, and he got you think you're moving, but you're really sitting here with some earplugs on and ain't went nowhere. Yeah. But he'll make you satisfied with that. Yeah. And call it, oh, this is your virtual reality. Well, I like to go in that yard and get some real reality. What do you mean virtual? Hold up here, man. But get you so messed up that we know today that there's addictions to technology. Yeah. And you got our young people there to where you can, I'll use this one as an example. My middle daughter gets herself in trouble. She's grown now and everything else, but you still get in trouble because I'm the father. Okay, how old you get, but that's another story. And she got in trouble there, and I called her. I found about it, and I called her. And she rang my phone back, and it made a funny noise I wasn't familiar with, you know, a twingling or whatever it was, you know. So I didn't know what it was doing, you know, because I got
probably call you off the WhatsApp or something.
Watch out now.
Oh, he pulled out the razor.
Hold on, short to the camera. Short to the camera.
This is ancient. This is
and it works. We're talking about ancient.
Look, in 20 years, the kids gonna be like, "What is that?"
Yeah. I'll still be answering it too, God willing, inshallah. Bottom line was this thing here when I got it back then, it was okay, and it twinkled. I didn't know it ain't ringing like I pulled a ring, and I'm what's wrong? So I took it to my oldest daughter. I said, something wrong with my phone. You take this phone back to these people and get it straight. Because it's making this funny noise. I don't know what this thing is doing. She looked at it and said, oh, no, that's a text. Yeah, text. Text? Who text? I ain't got nobody text. I know. We talking about text. You know? So she told me what it is. She said, no, that's Michelle, my daughter. I said, what text? I called her. Yeah. You know?
Why she
said, well, she texted me back. I said, oh, no. She knows she did them in business, right? And she knows, their parents know. They hear your voice on their phone. They'll know right away. So she didn't want to do that. So if she had a voice, they get on the phone. Hi, Daddy. Wait a minute. What? Wait a minute. I know what's going on. They don't want to hear that. So you text me. So I call her back and on her voice thing. I said, listen, you ain't in Texas. I ain't in Texas. You don't text me nothing. You don't call me back right now. I'll be in North Carolina. You better call me back. Bam. That was the end of me getting text messages.
Well, you know, we talk about this all the time. There's a real disconnect between the youth and the pioneers and the older generation because we do a bad job at communicating, and we do a bad job of showing what we're doing and how what we can bring something to the table, right? My sister, she stays on her phone all day long.
The communication is different. It's not bad. It's just different.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to learn how to communicate. It's kind of like marriage, right? Somebody was talking about marriage the other day. They said, you got two different people who come from two totally different backgrounds. Now they have to work together. They have to create a family together. And it's the same thing with the youth and the elders. You come from two totally different backgrounds. Two totally different times, but you have to work together, because without one another, you don't have any sort of community. You don't have a history, and then you also don't have a future.
So you're starting all over again each time.
Exactly.
You shouldn't have to do that.
And that's kind of what we've been seeing.
That's part of Satan's work too.
Yeah.
To put that divide there.
Exactly.
Because there's really no divide.
Yeah.
Whether it's my time, your son's time, your children's time, it's no real divide. That's Satan's imagery being an influence. Yes. You're living in a world where God has allowed the world to continue to advance, all right? And you're using these advanced tools. But depending on how you use them, as I said, God said he made everything possible, and whatever you create, he is the original creator of it, and he allows it to come into existence. And we believe by faith that whatever allows it to come into existence for mankind is for improving upon his obedience to God. Okay, so but Satan's there, and he's given respite to be able to, and the Quran says it, never did God send a messenger with a plan that Satan didn't make a plan unlike unto it. And he knows the messenger is coming, so he again begins to put his plan out there. So by the time the messenger comes with his plan, people will say, well, I know about that already. I've been there already with this, etc. So here again, the only disconnect really comes if you don't keep the family cohesion. That's where community comes in at.
Okay.
The camera, so you can expand on using the technology and what have you, but if it begins to harm you by having you distant from your mother and father, distant from your grandfather and grandparents, etc., or aunts, uncles, etc., if it has you isolating yourself from it, then you are using it the incorrect way.
Okay.
So your own common sense, which this attacks, no use of common sense. You say stay on the phone all the time as a man of communication. But where's your human element other than in your fingers? They're disconnecting you from having feelings, one of the senses. So if you cut off the sense of feeling, then you're not going to get that message. So everything is text, everything is code, just like that. You're not even completing sentences. Which has its purpose if you I spy for the whoever else and what have you. But for talking to me, the value is going to be to see my facial expression, to see my lips, to see my what's that. That's the value that's going to allow you to really use that tool that God has allowed the composition to become an inventor. As a class we had here, this convention, where the brothers came in and showed the young people how to actually build this computer and laptop, bought the parts, STEM stuff, you know what I'm saying, and showed them, said, don't just use it, show you how to build this, because you'll look at it, and our history of inventions in America as African Americans being oppressed, we had to try to come up with things that can relieve some of the oppression. So some of the greatest inventions the whole world is using now, though we didn't get compensated for it. But because of that oppressive situation, we were looking for it. So these tools, the phone, this is comfortable for me. It does what I want. You got an iPad or UPad, and they constantly give me another one. It's about economics.
Sheesh.
And if you ain't got the latest one, like y'all laughed at my flip phone, but mine are working here and yours won't. I can get a call, you can't get one. You understand? All your apparatus in there and stuff, you can't get no call. You know what I'm saying? But mine, I'll pick up, say hello, and you always still trying to push buttons and figure out what's wrong. Is the internet down? Or is my brain shot? Whatever it is, you understand? So again, don't allow them through technology to come in and divide your human contact.
But that's the reason why, and you didn't know this, but we do all of our podcasts in person when we have guests. We never do them over the phone because we realize the importance of that. Over the phone, you don't get that connection.
Your human voice.
The
human voice is part of that sensitivity. You're gonna text a baby crying? How you gonna do that? And say cry. That ain't gonna. You're not gonna. No response there. So the influence in technology is almost making dead letters.
So what
that baby, when I first talked about it,
Yeah.
that God allows to come into the world, that male or female baby, and the first thing from the cord, the rope of God, is then going to the heart of his mother. Telling you, you need to hear your mother's heartbeat, because your heartbeat and her heartbeat is the same beat. When that baby goes there, the heartbeat remains the same. And that's that original soul that God created. We must remember, God said he has not made anything except good, and he accepts nothing but good. This is God telling us this. Now, we can ignore these things if we want to. To me, if I'm dealing with the creator of the heavens and the earth, who needs nothing from me, but provides everything for me, he don't have to trick me. He ain't got to scheme on me. He ain't got to plot on me. He says, you plan, I plan. Now, you want to follow the best of plans or not? If you don't, well, you'll find out that your plan ain't so good. And marriage is a key. And even in marriage, you don't look to marry someone totally estranged from you, because that's going to make it tough.
Yeah. Make it harder, yeah.
That's why you try to have events like we're having here. To have part of that is also having people be able to meet each other. You want school systems, so the children are growing up together. So they have a sense of environment, etc., and what have you, that they kind of know one another over a long period of time before they even think about, I now want to spend the rest of my life with you in union and etc., and raise families together. So you got all of these things working against that, and technology in all of its pluses can be a very negative, and it has been, to where people are hurting now mentally because they have become addicted to it, just as they get addicted to smoking reefer or cocaine or drinking liquor and wine. Ain't no difference. Anybody who want to ride in their car and is trying to text somebody while the car going 60 miles an hour and looking at their phone, you tell her, thank you very much.
Yeah. So right now, the reason why we have these conversations for the pioneers to sit down with the young Muslim culture, or the young Muslims, right?
I'm a young Muslim culture too.
Yeah, so that's why we got. That's why we brought you on.
Make sure you got the right guy.
Yeah. So right now with that, because you talked about addiction and this event, it's all about pulling away from negativity and protecting your mental health. And the younger generation right now, there's no protection. We getting hit with stuff left, right, center because of technology. But what would you like to see? Because right now we probably have age range between 18 and 35. Mashallah, thousands of Muslims that listen to this and non-Muslims, but they're all between the age of 18 and 35. What would you guys like to see more of? Are we not doing enough? Are we not asking? Is there what's the disconnect like, and how can we bridge that gap slowly?
Well, praise be to God. I'm trying to conclude this now because I had the mayor.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
We should follow what the excellent model that we have, the most excellent model that God has given us in Prophet Muhammad, the prayers and peace be upon him. All that we're talking about, though it's a different time zone, the same things were achieved. And the only difference would be some of the tools that you would use. Instead of using a pickaxe and a hammer, we got electrical jackhammers and air hammers and etc. But the results is the same, breaking rocks for building something. And that's what we need to understand. So the technology is advancing on previous tools. All right. So understanding it from that perspective, from the development, construction end of it, now I can use a electric drill. I don't have to plug it in. A battery is charged, but the impact of me putting that screw in there is the same, but it's giving me a little more relief to have to carry all those tools around, all the cords, and etc. So it is for what we're dealing with, to have the mind of the young folks recognize the history of why what they're using today came into existence. There was a phone that we did rotary dial. There was a phone thing there. Right, those kind of things there, what have you. And they got them in museums. And the reason why they make museums is to remind you that what you got now came from this idea. You're flying in 747s and etc. and what have you. When you're riding cars and stuff now, when it was horse, buggy, and mules and camels. So, but what was it? Transportation.
Yep.
All the same.
Yeah, but Almighty God allowing you to advance by studying the creation, ayats, Quran, the signs, and you studied the birds' flying pattern, you looked at what it was, and the science of the soul of mind, and that soul that God made for every human being. There's no soul that God made, and without our soul, we wouldn't be sitting there talking.
Absolutely.
Okay? God made everything, and he made everything to be obedient to his plan. So when God put that soul in us, he put an obedient soul in us. Now, we have the ability to oppress it but that don't make it not obedient. And it will tell you when something is going wrong, and he made this body, this biological body, to also respond to wrong thinking, wrong decisions. You go, nowadays, technology allows them to advance, where if they want to put a lie detector test on you, they put some probes on you, and says, your name's so-and-so? You said, my name is such. No, it ain't, beep, 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 beep. How is that possible? Because you got a heart that ain't capable of lying. Your heart can't lie. All right? Your blood ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
They there to serve your upright needs. And when you misuse them, drink, smoke, do these things, they rebel.
Yep.
Because that ain't what we want here.
Yep.
So they send you up some lung cancer. They send you up some other things, just obesity, eating all of it. The body is there almost like an angel, like the senses, and it serves your needs as a warner. Treat me right, and I'm here to treat you right. Use me wrongly, and I'm here to warn you that you use me wrong.
Yeah. It
ain't complicated. All right. So no matter how advanced we get in technology, the basic premise is the same.
Yes.
A hammer and a chisel to break the rock, or a jackhammer to break the rock, or a diamond bit drill to break the rock. It's still about breaking rocks. It's just that I found a more faster, efficient, a less stressful way to do it. So the relationship between the age groups should not be but a relationship upon the uses of what was done before and the advancement of it, and all of it need to be used for respect for God.
Amen.
That's it. Just respect for God. No complication. That's all God said. It's logical. Why won't you respect me? Because if you work outside of my plan, it ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
And there's nobody can come here and help you but me. Now I'm giving you all the help. What's wrong with you people? But I'm gonna have to go. I got all the words saying time is fly, and I praise be to God. I'm thankful to God to be able to join you, on this program, and I pray to God that those who are listening, that nothing that I said or did, my nia is not to offend or to do anything to make you feel bad or hurt or anything like that. But my nia is only to give good as I understand it from religion to the best of my ability. And I apologize to anyone who offended by anything I said. That's not my intent. Again, we here, and I'm just a brother trying to live life, feed his family, serve his family, help others, advance to the best of my ability, and to use the skills that God has given me to do that. And I thank God for what He's given me. I'm overwhelmed, and I thank God for the great blessings of following the leadership of Imam W.D. Muhammad. Because without that leadership, I would not know the Quran. I would not know Muhammad the Prophet and the history like I should know it. So I'm blessed with that, and I thank God for it.
I mean, we do appreciate it, brother. How can people, if they want to support, how can they support? Is there, if they want to?
You can go through Masjid Imam Shabazz. I think it's called .com or something like that. Factory.
So MalcolmShabazz.com.
Yeah, MalcolmShabazz.com, and you'll pick up. Matter of fact, you pick up all the what we Facebooking and stuff that we're doing, or live and facing my book or something. All that stuff there you pick up. And
there's a live radio show right every Sunday from 6 to 8.
Oh yeah. We got a 2-hour radio show, and we do the Facebook
Live.
2-hour program too, where they engage me in questions like you have engaged me, and I appreciate it. We love y'all very much.
Thank you.
And y'all keep doing what you need to do. But we're one. We're one human family, no matter what the age is. God willing, you will get to this age, inshallah, God willing. And there'll be her children's children be saying, what's wrong with him? What are you doing with that iPad? We use our eyes right now.
Don't you know we use flip phones now?
It may go back to it. You never know.
Always does.
But thank you all.
Thank you, brother.
Peace be unto you.
Pasha. All right. So for the last hour and 22 minutes, you have been listening to the Young and Muslim Podcast. I'm Jabil Salam.
Muhammad Hassan.
And this is
Imam Ezekiel Pasha.
And we greet you with the greens of peace.
Asalaamu
Alakum.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Takbir.
Allahu Akbar.